Alright guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Ali Plays. Today we're going to be doing a Dragon Champions video. So we're going to be doing a ranking list for the tanks. So we're going to be ranking the best tanks in the game. There are only 8 tanks currently in the game. This ranking is not fact, it's my opinion. So you guys will probably have different ranking than me, but it should be pretty similar, I guess. I guess the biggest difference will probably be the top 3. And maybe the bottom 2. So yeah, since we got that out of the way, let's get started. So we're gonna start from 8 to 1. So number 8, we have Adam. So Adam is a hero that you get when you first start the game. He's part of the events, the legendary event to get Adam. He's not a legendary, but it's they consider it a legendary event. Unfortunately, Adam is not that good. I mean, I like that he has an AoE on his A1 that can decrease the enemy's damage, and also his A2 ability deals 330% of physical damage to an enemy and inflicts a tenacity decrease for 2 turns. This ability is pretty good too. He gains shield equal to 40% of his max health. But this is what makes him not good, is that because a tank's job is to defend his team. So yeah, they call them defenders in this game, but they're generally tanks. So his job is to taunt for his team, but his taunt is too random. So he has a 70% chance to gain taunt for 1 turn at the turn's end. So after his turn ends, he has a chance to gain taunt. And at this point in the game, I think most people are new to the game. So you have a 40% chance to gain taunt. So especially at the beginning, he is not that good. So because he can't do his job properly as a tank and is too RNG dependent for him to actually taunt, that's why he's not rank 8 on my list. So Kelrian actually does have his uses, because he's an elf tank, right? So he's he's like naturally good at defending against, taunting against magic. So he gains a 25% magic armor increase plus 5% for each living elf in the party. So he actually does have his uses, but he's not very plug and play. I think he's okay with an elf team. Glaive Throw, he deals AoE damage to all enemies. 75% chance to inflict armor decrease as well. So just because people are ranked low does not mean they're not good, except for Adam, unfortunately, because his taunt is too random. Dual Challenge, he gains taunt and tenacity increase for 2 turns and removes 2 debuffs. And he recovers 25% health. Cutting Blade, he deals 180% of physical damage to an enemy and guaranteed to land a critical hit on the lowest health target. So yeah, this guy, I mean, he's not bad, he's okay, but because he's not very good at tanking physical damage, that's why he's ranked for pretty low. But he's good for magic damage. Darren. So Darren, everybody has Darren. Darren is a starter tank in the game. You get him at the beginning of the game. So the thing about Darren is that he doesn't excel anything at all. He's just a generic tank. It makes him good and not good. He barely deals any damage, but I guess he's better than, yeah, he does more damage than Adam. But his kit doesn't make sense to me because he deals more damage if the target is an orc. Well, he's not here for damage anyways. He has an AoE that can in place armor increase to 3 allies for 2 turns, so that is pretty good because he's also a tank. He can taunt. For me, I like his taunt. In the beginning of the game, he's one of the best tanks for you to have. He gains taunt and armor increase for 2 turns and removes 2 debuffs, recovers 25% health. Most of you guys will have him at least level 3 or level 4. His passive ability, he gains 25% physical armor increase, and by the end of his turn, he has a 50% chance to gain a dodge for 1 turn. But most people have it at this point, level 3. So that's why he's not rated pretty high. But even if he's maxed out, he wouldn't be that high. He's like in the middle of the pack. He doesn't excel at anything, but he's a tank that you have, so you gotta use him. Well, I actually like his leadership ability because it's universal, so it works in all situations. So he is very good at plug and play. So his leadership ability, all allies gain 30% physical armor and 30% magic armor at the end of their turn. Allied members of the order have a 50% chance to remove 1 debuff. So that is why Darren is number 6. He could arguably be number 5. I'm gonna have him in number 6. So Little Batty is acquired through these events. These events like these, like spending gold, leveling up your champions, things like that. This is how you get her. So I already have her, but I'm gonna wait to unlock her. So originally I was gonna have Darren ahead of Little Batty. So looking at her skills, she deals 180% of physical damage to an enemy, has an 80% chance to decrease the turn meter by 25%. Decreasing turn meter is always good in games like these. Her A2 ability deals 260% of physical damage to an enemy. Also attacks 2 random enemies, dealing 130% of physical damage to them. Dealing damage with this ability removes 1 buff, and then Little Batty gains taunt for 2 turns. So there she has a better taunt than Adam for sure. Deals 190% of physical damage to all enemies and 30% chance to inflict blind for 2 turns. Blind in this game is actually a very powerful ability. Except for on Master Duo, because Master Duo is already blind, so it doesn't affect him. And her passive ability, Little Batty survives a fatal blow. So she basically has cheat death. Protecting herself with a shield equal to 30% of her max health. Any effects active on her or removed can be triggered once per battle. So she would be ranked higher if this ability was not limited to once per battle, but that would make her pretty broken. So she's number 5 on my list. So Mega Wheel is pretty hard to get, so it's kind of disappointing that he's only number 4 on my list. I mean, I tried to work it and make him higher, but I couldn't. His Get Him ability deals 180% of physical damage to an enemy, applies a stack of pain for 5 turns. So this really reminds me of Darth Sion from Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. He has the same style of kit. He gains taunt and cheat death for 2 turns, removes 2 debuffs, recovers 25% health, so he has a pretty good taunt. Deals 210% of physical damage to all enemies, so he has AoE, removes all pain stacks from them, and deals an extra 40% physical damage over each pain stack removed from that enemy. And his Harbinger of Death ability, Mega Wheel, gains a 6% crit chance increase for each living demon in the party. So he excels very well with demons, and he's more of a DPS type of tank, so that's why he's not ranked any higher. So he is number 4 on my list. So coming in at number 3, we have Kinley. So this is pretty controversial, but I have my reasoning. So Kinley would be number 1 if Patriarch Chi or Chi is always on his team. So because Patriarch Chi's leadership abilities, that whenever he heals, let's go up to Patriarch Chi, I'll show you why. So Patriarch Chi's Sensei ability, all ally healing spells apply shield equal to 50% of the healing. All attacks by allies from this order restore 20% of their maximum shield. And also because of his basic ability, Dragon Strike, not only does he deal damage, but he has a 50% chance for Kinley and a random ally to gain shield equal to 50% of the damage dealt. So this guy will constantly be putting shields up on Kinley, and then Kinley just becomes really annoying at that point. So what makes Kinley very good, he has a basically guaranteed critical hit if the target is at full health on his basic attack. But we're not talking about damage, we're not here for damage. So what good is he can put tenacity increase to 3 allies for 1 turn. So that is very good against debuffs. His taunt ability is very powerful because he gains taunt and dodge for 2 turns, and he removes 2 debuffs, and he recovers 25% health. So imagine how annoying that is with Patriarch Chi. I'm gonna call him Patriarch Chi, honestly. I'm gonna stick with that. Kinley recovers 20% health at the start of his turn. You can see how annoying it is. So he would be number 1 if Patriarch Chi is always on his team. Ranked number 3 is because we have to look at them as individuals. The Lord of the Great Houses leadership ability, all allied pandas increase their max health by 30%, and pandas recover 5% health for each critical hit dealt and for each buff applied. So not only that, he's also a leader for panda. So number 2, I have Salvador. So Salvador, you can farm in arena, and he has I think 2 nodes in the game, 1 or 2. You can check right here. Yeah, he has 2 nodes, and you can farm him from arena. So Salvador is technically, he could be the best tank in the game. Pound for pound, best tank, I guess. So you look at his abilities, he has if he's maxed out, he has a 40% chance to gain shield equal to 10% of his max health on his basic, so that is very good. So he's very good as a plug and play tank. He deals 400% physical damage to an enemy and gains taunt for 2 turns. So this ability actually does a lot of damage. So he actually does pretty good damage for a tank. This ability is very powerful. He gains Steel Shell for 2 turns. So what Steel Shell does, it decreases all damage taken by 90%. And he has a 50% chance to gain debuff immunity for 2 turns at the same time. So you can imagine how powerful that is. Power of the Ancient, he gains 35% physical armor and an additional 5% for each living Pride character in the party. He also really shines in a Pride team if you have Hera as lead. So this is Hera. If you look at her leadership ability, all allies from the Pride faction gain 20% dodge. And when the battle starts, all allied Pride tanks gain taunt for 2 turns. So Salvador can start off with taunts, which is pretty powerful. No other tank in the game can do that. And yeah, so we're just looking at this part right here for the tanks. So Pride tanks start off with taunt, which is very powerful for arena as well as tower, basically any aspect of the game. So this is why Salvador is number 2. He can arguably be number 1 as well. So that leaves us with number 1, where we have Tromgar. So currently, at this point in the game, Tromgar is number 1 in my opinion. Not only is he needed for the Soleus legendary event, Orcs is a very good faction, so he's a solid choice. And he's also the best plug and play tank in my opinion. So he is pretty easy to get because he's like the Darth Vader of this game. You get him from completing achievements. So what makes him really good is he has a stun on his basic attack, so it's a 35% chance if you max it out to stun the target for 1 turn. He actually does do pretty good amount of damage. His shield is one of the best shields in the game because the only issue is that he switches between defense and offense, so there's a time where he takes more damage. So he's very good if you have 2 tanks. He can be the off tank. So he puts taunt on himself as well as counter attack. So if the people attack him and he counters them, he can stun them because of his basic attack. Let's max this out. Second wind, he gains 2 regeneration stacks for 2 turns and it removes all debuffs, and he recovers 10% health. So that is very powerful. Not in the beginning if you don't upgrade it, but if you upgrade it, it's very powerful. So when he's in defense stance, he gains physical armor by 30%. That's increased. and when he's in offense, he does more damage. And he also has a leadership ability that's better than Rantha's late game. Early game Rantha's is better. So all allied orcs receive 30% potency increase and 30% tenacity increase. Whenever an allied orc inflicts a debuff on the enemy, all orcs recover 5% of the health for each debuff inflicted. So he's very good with hard orc as well. So right now, October 2019, Tromgard is number 1 on my list for the best tanks in Dragon Champion. If you guys agree or disagree with my rankings, let me know down in the comment section. Just keep it civil. And if you guys like this type of content, or you found this video entertaining, make sure you guys drop a like. If you guys are new to the channel and you like what you see, then definitely hit that subscribe button. I make Dragon Champions and Raid Shadows content almost every single day. And as always, I want to thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and put a like.